Preying on people in pain is one of the most vile behaviors a person can commit. Takahiro Shiraishi, dubbed the Twitter killer by Japanese media, committed acts so heinous that more than 600 spectators showed up to fill the 13 public seats available for his trial, all hoping to see him judged for his actions. Neighbors and friends described Takahiro as a pleasant person. Growing up in an area near Tokyo, he was friendly and kind. People who knew him as a kid said he was quiet but easy to get along with. He joined sports teams in junior high and held random jobs throughout high school. His parents divorced and Takahiro and his sister were split up in the ensuing custody settlement. A pretty average existence for any child in today's world. However, by the time he reached adolescence, he was displaying some odd behavior. Friends recall that he liked to play a game where they would strangle each other to the point of passing out. Just after high school, Takahiro began working as a scout to lure unsuspecting women into a solicitation ring via social media. His ability to manipulate women was a skill he would later put to use for even more nefarious purposes. He had a live-in girlfriend at the time who, oddly enough, described him as unusually more gentle than ordinary people. She said he had a strange obsession with the afterlife and ways that life could end. It didn't take long for the locals to get a bead on him, and he soon developed a reputation as a creepy dude that was always lurking around, approaching young women. Police caught up with him in early 2017, but his 14-month sentence was suspended for 3 years. Suddenly, he was unemployed and on the prowl. Takahiro found himself with a lot of time on his hands, and he turned to Twitter to fill it. He set up several accounts with variations of the name @HangingPro and began to post things referring to his deep empathy for people suffering emotionally and wanting to end it all. I want information on hanging to be more widespread. I want to help people in pain. In a sad commentary on society, he received many replies. Sad, hurting women would respond to his posts, DMing him for comfort. Instead of comfort, they received encouragement, but not the positive kind. Takahiro encouraged them to end it all and offered to hold their hand, help, and even accompany them in the act. He said whatever they needed to hear to get them to his apartment. That final act wasn't all he was interested in. He wanted money. Takahiro talked his first target into renting an apartment. He told Mizuki Miura that he loved her and that they would live in the apartment together. He told his father that he'd met the love of his life, but once he moved in, he called her to come over with the intention of taking her life. She brought a male friend along and thwarted his plans, at least for the night. The next time, she would not be so lucky. On August 22, 2017, Mizuki officially went missing. Her cell phone was found over an hour away, but there was no sign of Mizuki. Takaharo's next target was Kohira Ishihara. She went missing on August 29th. Her family called her friends and co-workers and searched her hometown, but found nothing. The very next day, his third target disappeared, Shogo Nishinaka, the male friend who had come to the apartment with Mizuki. He was worried about her and came to confront Takahiro about her disappearance. And then, he was gone. Like many serial killers, Takahiro wasn't able to stop once he got started. Shogo was an unexpected target and the only male on the list. Throughout the next few months, Takahiro was able to lure woman after woman to his doomed apartment. Hitomi Fujima, Akara Suda, Aiko Tamura, Natsumi Kobo, Hanako Sarashina, and Kazumi Maruyama all spent their last days there. He would later tell police the extent of his actions that ended in burglary and its fateful consequences. As each woman turned up missing, their families would file police reports and frantically search for their loved one, just as Aiko Tamura's family did. It was her brother who hacked into her Twitter account and revealed the conversation she was having with Takahiro to police. As the investigation began, police were quick to suspect the account may have something to do with the other missing women. A deep dive revealed another woman who was talking to @HangingPro, a woman who was still alive. Investigators contacted her, and she agreed to participate in a sting operation to find out what exactly was going on in Takahiro's apartment, and if it had anything to do with Aiko and the other missing women. The unnamed woman agreed to meet Takahiro at his apartment on October 31st, 2017. When he opened the door to greet her, he was faced with police and a barrage of questions. When they asked him where Aiko was, he pointed to a cooler sitting in the corner of the room. In there. His game was over. He offered no excuses and readily answered police questions. When Takahiro was taken into custody, police searched the house. Their monstrous discovery shocked the entire country. The apartment became infamously known as the House of Horrors. Inside, police found several coolers and other containers filled with human remains. They were able to recover over 200 pieces in addition to the 9 heads of all of his targets. The rest were thrown away with the daily trash. Capital punishment was immediately on the table for Takahiro, who actually said he preferred it to a long trial. He offered little remorse. He told attorneys that he drew a line between people he loved and cared for and others, and that he chose his targets by who would be easiest to convince. He claimed at first he would only con them out of money. A fight with his father had left him without steady cash again, so he picked emotionally weak women and piled them with compliments to get them to loan him money. He was still on probation from the solicitation business when he started to think about how any of these women could go to the police and turn him in for conning them. He decided making them disappear was the only way to go on. In court, he stated that he wanted to apologize for what he did to some people, the ones he'd spent time with, but others he had no remorse for. He revealed his true feelings with what he said next. "If they hadn't caught me, I would regret nothing." Although the defense tried to say all his targets carried out their actions willingly, Takahiro actually stated to the judge that they were not willing. He claimed to have used alcohol and other substances to render his targets defenseless. Not a single one consented, he told the court. Investigations showed some targets had indentations in the back of their head, indicating a blow with a hammer-like object. Takahiro claimed his motive was financial and to satisfy his own personal desires. The defense asked for a mental evaluation. It took 5 months to declare him sane and proceed to trial. Harsh illegal activity is very rare in Japanese culture. The actions of Takahiro Shiraishi were unheard of. The judge stated that he not only took but trampled the dignity of those people found in his house of horrors. Takahiro admitted his guilt in all 9 cases and received the ultimate punishment, which in Japan is hanging. When the details of this case were released, it spawned another hotly debated discussion on the societal problems Japan faces. The rate of people enduring emotional issues and who are willing to take their own lives is abnormally high. Experts point to the automated and isolated way of life and erosion of the family unit as a catalyst. People turn to social media for comfort and find little. Capital punishment is carried out in private in Japan. The public nor media are alerted to the date. Even the doomed person is not notified until the day it happens. Takahiro is still waiting. He doesn't plan to appeal his sentence. He stated that he just wants it to be over quickly to save his family from any more pain. Would you live in the House of Horrors apartment? If not, would you live in the same building? How long would Takahiro have carried on if Aiko's brother had not found his Twitter messages? Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit the notification bell for more content like this.